All right, let's dive into a story of technology and innovation from a place you probably wouldn't expect. We're going to uncover a tech frontier that was built not for convenience, but out of pure, raw necessity.
When you hear AI, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For most of us, it's probably gleaming data centers in Silicon Valley or maybe university labs buzzing with supercomputers. We think of the algorithms that recommend our next movie or optimize ad campaigns. That's the AI we usually talk about. But what if I told you that some of the most genuinely impactful uses of AI and advanced tech are happening somewhere else entirely, in a place where technology isn't a luxury, it's a lifeline? Welcome to Afghanistan. See, in Afghanistan, the AI ecosystem is driven by this really powerful idea: necessity innovation. We're not talking about disrupting industries for profit here. We're talking about using things like algorithms and blockchain to rebuild fundamental services, to deliver life-saving aid, and to connect a nation to the global economy when pretty much all other doors have been slammed shut. So how in the world did this happen? Well, to really understand the solution, we first have to get our heads around the sheer scale of the problem. And it all kicks off with the country's economic collapse after the political changes of August 2021. Just think about this for a second. Even before the crisis hit, a staggering 85% of the Afghan population was unbanked. That's zero access to any formal financial services. That was the starting point before things got much, much worse.
And then the system just shattered. Foreign reserves were frozen. Cash shipments stopped dead. The country was plunged into what's called a liquidity crisis. Physical money couldn't move. International transfers? Impossible. The entire formal banking sector was completely paralyzed, leaving this massive, gaping void.
And right into that void stepped a new generation of, you could call them, digital first responders. These aren't your typical startups, they are builders, literally creating the financial and logistical lifelines that the country was desperate for.
First up, let's talk about HesabPay. They're a fintech pioneer that jumped straight into that liquidity crisis with a really powerful mix of technologies.
Now, what's really fascinating here is how they combine these different tools. They use a specific blockchain, Algorand, to create this transparent, unchangeable public record of transactions. This is a total game changer for international aid organizations who have to see exactly where every single dollar goes. Then, on top of that, they layer on AI to analyze all that transaction data. And with it, they create the first ever financial profiles and credit scores for people who've been totally invisible to the banking system their whole lives.
And the impact is very, very real. HesabPay has processed over 1.3 million electricity bill payments. In an economy where a simple transaction like that became almost impossible, that number represents a powerful return to some sense of normalcy for hundreds of thousands of people.
Next, we've got Aseel, which is a really interesting company with a dual mission. They're part e-commerce marketplace for local artisans and part high-tech humanitarian platform.
This slide just brilliantly breaks down their aid delivery system. They built this thing called ADOS. Here's how it works. A donor gives money, and a family in need gets a unique digital ID. Then the donors can literally watch their aid package move in real time, from the warehouse onto the truck, all the way to the family that gets it, with a photo and GPS proof at the end. It's a completely data-driven system built to stamp out fraud and build trust. And the scale of their work is just incredible. Through this very system, Aseel has delivered direct aid to over 642,500 people. That's millions of dollars distributed in a way that is totally transparent and verifiable.
And then there's Netlinks. Okay, so if HesabPay and Aseel are building the lifelines, Netlinks is building the entire digital backbone for the country's businesses and government. These guys are the veterans of the scene. They were founded way back in 2005. What Netlinks does is provide that crucial enterprise-level software. Think of it as the digital operating system that helps businesses manage everything from inventory to payroll. But their huge social impact really comes from their platform, Jobs.fa. It uses matching algorithms, which is a really practical form of AI, to connect thousands of job seekers with employers, trying to tackle unemployment in a really fractured job market.
Now, it would be really easy to just celebrate these successes and call it a day, but it is so important to understand the immense challenges these companies are overcoming every single day. They are truly, truly building on fragile foundations. One of the biggest challenges is this massive brain drain, but this has actually led to a really unique solution, what's being called the diaspora model. You have founders and senior talent who are operating from outside the country using global resources while at the same time maintaining and training core operational teams on the ground in cities like Kabul and Herat. It's this fascinating hybrid approach that could honestly become a blueprint for rebuilding in other conflict zones.
And the daily hurdles are just immense. I mean, can you imagine trying to build an AI company when the power cuts out multiple times a day, or when you can't even get the high-end computer chips you need to train your models because of sanctions? It forces this incredible level of creativity and resourcefulness. These are definitely not your typical startup problems.
And yet, amidst all of these challenges, there's a really powerful and inspiring counter-narrative going on. The tech sector has created a kind of digital loophole for women. Programs like Aseel's 50 Afghan Women in Tech are providing remote training and jobs, offering one of the very few viable economic pathways for women to keep working and developing their skills. It's amazing.
So with all these incredible challenges and innovations, where is this unique ecosystem actually headed? Well, looking towards the next 5 years or so, the future really seems to be all about two things: verification and efficiency.
Experts are predicting 3 key trends. First, that combination of blockchain for trust and AI for verification, that's going to become the gold standard for all aid projects. Second, we're going to see the rise of AI models specifically trained on local languages like Pashto and Dari to help with everything from banking to healthcare. And third, this venture builder model will grow, where larger companies basically act as incubators for smaller startups, sharing resources and risk in a really tough economy.
And this quote from the source material, it just gets to the very heart of it. Afghanistan's startups are not disrupting industries, they are rebuilding broken infrastructure. That's the key difference. The purpose of innovation here is fundamentally different.
And really, that's the key takeaway from our whole explainer today. In Afghanistan, AI isn't about luxury or convenience. It is about resilience. It's about rebuilding. It's about creating digital lifelines in one of the most high-risk, high-impact environments on the entire planet. Just before we go, a quick little note. This information was gathered using a mix of manual and AI-powered research. We always encourage you to go out and verify the details for yourself. Thanks so much for watching.